franchise, and the doubleheader delivered record-setting viewership. The first game between the Lakers and the Knicks averaged 4.5 million viewers across NBC and Telemundo, making it the most-watched Sunday night regular season game since 2002.
Drop everything and pay attention, because while the mainstream media is busy spinning tales, the raw data just hit the surface, and it's earth-shattering. We aren't just looking at a trend, we are witnessing a 24-year-old from Iowa systematically take over the entire sports landscape. If you assumed the momentum would fade during the off-season, you couldn't have been more wrong. Welcome back to the channel where we look past the headlines to uncover the real story. Today, we're analyzing the seismic impact of Caitlin Clark's broadcasting debut on NBC. This wasn't just a successful night, it was a record-breaking explosion that has NBA executives reeling. Let's look at the cold, hard facts, because while narratives can be manipulated, the Nielsen ratings provide the ultimate truth. NBC brought back its iconic basketball coverage with a heavy-hitting Sunday night matchup between the Los Angeles Lakers and the New York Knicks. On paper, you've got LeBron James at Madison Square Garden, which is always a draw. But you have to look at the context, because the context changes everything. This broadcast pulled in a massive 4.5 million viewers. Let that sink in, 4.5 million. That makes it the most-watched Sunday night regular season NBA game since 2002. For nearly 25 years, spanning the prime of Kobe Bryant, Shaq's dominance in Miami, the rise of the Steph Curry dynasty, and the heatless era, no regular season Sunday game has hit these heights. It took Caitlin Clark sitting at a desk in a blazer to snap a 24-year drought. That isn't a fluke, it is the Caitlin Clark effect in its most undeniable form. The reality of these numbers is even more impressive when you consider that NBC hasn't had a regular NBA slot in years. There was no built-in audience just left over from a previous program. These were destination viewers, people who tuned in specifically because Caitlin Clark was on the microphone. This completely dismantles the argument that her fame is a tempora.
Got a chance to make this again.
That's our welcome to the NBC moment.
There we go.
Feeling it. She
That
knew
was
it right
my
away.
problem.
Oh,
This could be a quick NBC.
wow. The warm-up was mine, the win. Uh-oh. All right.
I was being nice last game. Uh-oh.
All right. Straight in. In.
Guess what? In a game, that would still count for a point.
It
so
would.
okay.
It absolutely would. Boom. Ah.
All right, let's end it.
And your
Short.
combo roll.
Oh!
Good job. Great job.
She didn't lose her cool. There was no angry rant or formal press release. Instead, she took to social media and did something far more effective, she trolled. By dropping a few crying laughing emojis on a Peyton Pritchard highlight, she leaned directly into the joke. It was a display of self-awareness and humor that's incredibly rare among today's hypersensitive athletes. Her message was clear: okay, Reggie, if that's how you see me, just watch this. By laughing it off, she stripped the critics of their power and took full control of the narrative by refusing to play the victim. But while Clark was busy laughing, her peers were stepping up to lead the charge in her defense. This marks a massive, crucial shift in WNBA culture. Sophie Cunningham, the Phoenix Mercury star and a woman who has traded blows with Clark on the court, took to her podcast to act as the ultimate enforcer. She shut down the Reggie Miller comparison with a single sentence that belongs in the Hall of Fame. She said it was probably not the best comparison for the generational player that Caitlin is. Focus on that word, generational. Sophie Cunningham gets it. The players get it. They are moving past the tired narrative of jealousy and resentment. They've realized that Caitlin Clark is the golden goose. By labeling her generational, they are placing her in the same stratosphere as LeBron, Serena, and Tiger Woods. It removes her from the Peyton Pritchard conversation entirely and places her exactly where she belongs, on the Mount Rushmore of sports icons.
She had this to say about the whole Peyton Pritchard thing. I don't know if you technically it's to say, but she trolled a little bit, right, with those emojis on a highlight of Pritchard during the Celtics and Mavericks game. Peyton Pritchard hit a buzzer beater at the end of the first quarter. And by the way,
but if you truly want to understand what drives Caitlin Clark, why she possesses that relentless edge, you have to hear the behind-the-scenes scoop from her HRSE game with Jamal Crawford. This story reveals her true character. On camera, it looked like a light-hearted, fun segment where she won 2 out of 3 games. But Trista Crick, a producer for the Daily W, leaked what actually happened, and it's mind-blowing. The original plan was to play a single, quick game of HRSE, just one segment for TV, then wrap. But Caitlin lost that first game. Instead of brushing it off and walking away, she looked at the production crew and demanded, "No, run it back. Best of 3. She flat out refused to accept defeat. She forced the entire crew to stay and keep the cameras rolling until she proved she could take down Jamal Crawford. That right there is the Mamba mentality. That's the Michael Jordan killer instinct. It doesn't matter if it's Game 7 of the finals or a casual game of HRSE in street clothes on a New York set, Caitlin Clark is physically incapable of accepting a loss. She has a pathological drive to win at everything, and that is what separates a star from a legend. A star is just happy to be on television, a legend is only happy when they've come out on top. Hearing that gave me chills because it confirms that the fire we see on the court isn't an act, it's her DNA. She is obsessed with competition and will grind you down until she wins, even if she has to rewrite the rules of the segment to do it. Most athletes are stiff or robotic when they try their hand at broadcasting, terrified of saying the wrong thing. But Caitlin looked like a 20-year veteran. Sophie Cunningham called her a dweeb and a nerd for the game, and she meant it as the ultimate praise. She explained that Caitlin knows basketball inside and out because she studies it relentlessly. She isn't just a shooter, she's a basketball savant. Watching her break down plays and interact as a
And it was funny, we were only supposed to do one. And Caitlin lost the first one. And she was like, no, best of 3, let's do this again. Run that back. And then we were laughing.
Beyond the ratings, we have to analyze the massive business implications of this NBC debut. When Rick Cordella, the president of NBC Sports, was asked if we'd be seeing more of Caitlin, his answer was essentially a resounding yes. He pointed out that she's already integrated into the Comcast family through her Xfinity sponsorship, which signals a strategic partnership that reaches far beyond the hardwood. Comcast and NBC aren't just giving her a guest spot, they are building a media empire around her, positioning Caitlin Clark to be the face of their network sports coverage for the next decade. Think about the staggering amount of leverage this gives her in the high-stakes CBA negotiations with the WNBA. While the players are fighting for equitable pay, better travel, and improved benefits, Caitlin Clark is out here proving she can pull 4.5 million viewers just by sitting in a studio chair. She is demonstrating to the owners that she isn't just a player, she is the product and the business itself. She's making it undeniably clear that without her presence, those massive viewership numbers would fall off a cliff. The host of the video, Robin Lundberg, hit the nail on the head regarding how this appearance finally ended a massive drought for basketball fans. Ever since the playoffs wrapped up, we've been starving for Caitlin content. The WNBA offseason is long, and the fans were clearly going through withdrawals. This broadcast was like finding water in the desert. It proved once and for all that the demand for Caitlin Clark isn't seasonal, it's a year-round phenomenon. People will tune in to watch her play golf, watch her play HRSE, or even watch her report on the weather. If Caitlin Clark is on that screen, the audience is there. That level of engagement is something you simply cannot manufacture or buy. You either possess that it factor or you don't, and she has it in buckets. Let's circle back to the Peyton Pritchard comparison for a moment, because it highlights a recurring issue in how male analysts discuss female athletes. Reggie Miller likely didn't intend to be disrespectful, he probably thought he was making a fair point about shooting range and physical stature. However, it reveals a total lack of imagination. Why aren't we comparing her to Steph Curry, Trae Young, or Steve Nash? Why is the default always a role player simply because of physical differences? Sophie Cunningham's generational label was a necessary correction to that mindset. It was a demand for respect, a way of saying, stop boxing us in and recognize that our greatness is just as legitimate as the men's. Reggie Miller learned a tough lesson that night: don't come for the queen unless you're prepared for the entire kingdom to fire back. And the kingdom is definitely speaking up. The comments sections are exploding with overwhelming support. People love that she's silencing the critics without saying a word. Just by being successful, she exposes how foolish the skeptics were. Remember the "she'll struggle in the pros" crowd? Or the "nobody will care once college is over" skeptics? They're silent now because you can't argue with 4.5 million viewers and sold-out arenas. NBC's use of nostalgia is equally brilliant. By bringing back the iconic round ball rock theme and tapping into the 90s Jordan-era energy, they are placing Caitlin Clark at the very center of it all. They are framing her as the bridge between the NBA's glory days and the modern era. That's an immense amount of pressure for a 22-year-old, but she handles it with incredible grace. She isn't rattled, she thrives on it, the same way she thrived when she forced those producers into a best-of-3 game of HRSE. She wants the ball, she wants the pressure, and she wants to be the face of the sport. Looking ahead, Caitlin is expected to suit up for the FIBA World Cup qualifiers soon, and this broadcast